Hey guys, bringing you all a next-gen update once more. I did one of these about a week ago, I think, where I was informing you guys that I completely paid off the PlayStation 4 and the launch games I'm getting for it, the console, Killzone Shadowfall, and the Watch Dogs Collector's Edition. So that has all been paid off completely. Now, in this next-gen update, I was going to basically talk about my plans in order to get the other system, the Xbox One, on release. Now, I've been talking about this through vlogs and on Twitter, saying that I think I can get an Xbox One on release. And before, I was going to trade in all my games, so that I would actually be able to get it without that much of a burden in terms of finances. And I kind of went, kind of back on that because I was looking at all these games, and I basically said, I dumped all that money into it. I'm just gonna keep them, and I decided to keep my games, which I'm still doing. But that being said, I kind of thought to myself, I was like, all right, if I'm going to get an Xbox One on release, all right, I'm gonna have to really be working hard first. I have to work longer and harder, but I also have to save money, and I have to draw out a whole plan. So this video isn't going to be, this video is going to be like a plan, more or less. It's going to be me about talking about my plans to get an Xbox One. Some of you have said, why do you want to get an Xbox One on release when you're already getting a PlayStation 4? It kind of makes no sense. Why get both next-gen systems? Why not just wait till later? And the reason is because I go to separate houses. It's not like where I just live in one place and I'm always with that next-gen system. I fluctuate between different households. You might say, all right, why don't you just drive to the other house and then play the next-gen system with that next-gen game that you bought? Because each house is 90 miles apart, all right? And I like the variety that I get when I go to one house and I have, all right, my PlayStation 3 and my PC, opposed to when I go to the other house and then there's my Xbox 360 and my Wii. So we're going to see, what I'm basically going to be talking about here is my plan and detailing you guys how exactly I'm going to be paying this off, right? So, obviously you're reading the title already. I already saved up half the money, alright, to pay for the console itself. $500 is a lot, but I was actually adding up the tax and the games and, the tax with the games and basically adding up to the point where I know what my grand total would be. And my goal is saving up $700, alright? With that $700, I'm going to be able to get the console, and I'm going to be able to get 2 launch games, which are going to be Battlefield 4 and Rise Son of Rome, alright? Originally, it was going to be Forza Motorsport 5, and then Crytek did a dev diary, and I was watching it, and I'm like, alright, this game can look compelling. Alright, it kind of got me interested because I saw the E3 demo. I was there at the press conference when they ran the E3 demo, and I'm like, wow, the graphics look great, but the gameplay looks so shallow. And I kind of am disappointed with Crytek at the moment, and I kind of thought about some more. I'm like, alright, Crytek put out a lot of great games, and they only fucked up on their latest game, Crysis 3, alright? And since Crysis 3 released, I've kind of been... I just kind of been talking shit about Crytek, and it's an impressive company. What they can do graphically is really impressive, but what I was really disappointed in with Crysis 3 was the fact that the story made no sense and that the game was just simply boring. I don't mean to go off, off subject here, but the first Crysis, the original Crysis, was still to this day one of my favorite first-person shooters this generation. It was fantastic. You had this almost open-world environment in this graphical phenomenon of a world. This is 2007. This game still holds up, alright? Running this game max on my PC at 1080p, I get like 50 frames per second, alright? I don't even... This game is such a technological marvel. It was such a leap forward from its time that still to this day, at the end of this generation, you could max it out. And they say they make their games future-proof. They really do when it comes to graphics. I mean, Crisis 3 looks incredible. I can run it. I can run it at high settings, but if you want to do very high settings, that's when the frames start to dip, and we're just gonna have to see. So, but the first Crisis was fantastic, and I loved it. Crisis Warhead, which to this day is still a PC exclusive, they haven't brought it over to consoles like the original Crisis. Crisis Warhead was a side story from the original Crisis, taking one of the main characters, Psycho, who was actually played an appearance in Crisis 3, and gave him his own storyline and his own... It basically was saying, alright, Psycho was doing this thing on the opposite side of the island from where you were, and you were playing that part, and Crisis Warhead was a fantastic game as well. Crisis 2 came out, and I was really anticipating that game. And it changed directions. It was more linear, but the story was still really good, even though it didn't continue the story from the first Crisis. It was still really good, and the graphics were really good. Well, the graphics were good with the exception of the new DirectX 11 and high-resolution textures pack they released for free. But the graphics were still good, and the gameplay was solid. Crisis 3, graphics were phenomenal, and they brought back the open levels, which weren't nearly as open as the first Crisis, but they brought them back, and they were satisfying. The game was just boring. It had tighter controls, but it was just boring. And the story made absolutely no sense. I said this before in my Crisis 3 review. The story was just dismissed from the very beginning. I had no motivation to play the game. Not to mention, the first Crisis was about 15 to 18 hours. Crisis Warhead was 6 hours. Crisis 2 was about 10 to 12 hours. Crisis 3 was 6 hours. It's like, whoa. The predecessor was almost twice as long as, the newest version of the game. It was like, what the hell happened? I mean, so it was just a disappointing game for me. I didn't really enjoy it. It just wasn't that fun. Rise looks good, and I was looking, they were showing the performance capture and the animations, and it looks good. It actually looks like it can have a really interesting emotional story, fighting for Rome, and this looks great. However, the gameplay looks shallow, and I think we've all saw that at the E3 demo where it was the guy was just pressing one button. At least I haven't played the game, but at least it looked like this. The guy was just pressing one button, and then a QuickTime popped up, you pressed Y, you pressed X, and that was it. It was like XX, QuickTime event, the guy's dead. And if that's going to happen like throughout the whole storyline, I don't know. I'm excited because the game looks good, and I saw that trailer, that new developer diary that they put out, and it got me interested. So I decided, alright, Forza Motorsport 5, I love the Forza series. It's one of my favorite racing games. Actually, no. It is my favorite racing series, I want to say, of all time. It's fantastic. But Forza 5, I love simulators, but at the same time, I think I can wait for it. I think I can wait till Black Friday for it. Rise does look interesting. I know Battlefield 4, the multiplayer is going to keep me interested for a while, because it's kind of funny. Battlefield 3, I didn't like the campaign. Alright, the multiplayer, in the beginning, I didn't really dig it. As time progressed, though, and I got to play it more, and I got to, I got adjusted to the new game mechanics from Bad Company 2, because, I'm sorry, but Bad Company 2 is still my favorite Battlefield game that they ever released. But I started to like Battlefield 3, and I liked the multiplayer a lot. So Battlefield 4, I'm really excited to play it, especially with, the amount of destructibility that they're bringing back from Bad Company 2. And they actually said for the storyline that they want to create a really compelling, emotional storyline. So hopefully they can keep their word, because DICE isn't really good at making emotional campaigns. All the Battlefield series hasn't really had a really good campaign at all. Like, they've all just been okay. So hopefully with Battlefield 4 they can change that. They can get an emotional storyline in there, and it can be, these are what these soldiers go through out there in the battlefield. If they can really emphasize that, sort of like how Medal of Honor does, but do it in a much better way, then they can have a really amazing campaign, even though it may be 6 hours, 4 hours, whatever the length may be. So, yeah, I have half the money saved up for the console itself, alright, $250. So I've actually I went through my financials and I did some math and stuff. I actually wrote this down. So by the end of the first week of August, I should be able to completely pay off the console itself, just the console. All right, I should have the money to pay off the console, and by August 16th, I should have all the money. So I should be done. I should have all the $700 by August 16th, and that following Monday is when I start school again. Now I'm still kind of hoping here that, crossing my fingers, that GameStop will open up the pre-orders for the Xbox One, so I can it'll be easier if I can pre-order the console there, because the console's sold out, pretty much everywhere. But I can still get it I'm crossing my fingers, I can still get it at the Microsoft Store, which is where if GameStop doesn't open up their pre-orders, that's where I'm going to get it, is the Microsoft Store, because I mean, they're always going to have pre-orders open. It's only available in a few locations, and I can just walk in there and I can just pre-order the console, no problems. Whether I'm going to have it shipped to my house or be picked up at the store, I still don't know. That's one of the reasons why I want to do GameStop, because I'm familiar with the store. I can just go in there and I can pay it off completely at GameStop. I won't have to cling onto the cash. Like a lot of these other stores do. Like a lot of these other stores, you pre-order it for like, I don't know, $100 reserved, and then you have to keep the cash until the console releases, and then you pay it off. I don't know if the Microsoft Store does that. I have a feeling that they do. Especially if I want to do, if I want to have it shipped to my house, then I'm going to have the money sit there in the bank waiting for it to be taken out. So that's sort of what I'm dealing with. Hopefully everything will be fine, and I can just, I can go in there, and I'm waiting until Gamescom. That's the thing, because when Gamescom happens at the end of August, I believe, that's going to be the final. Once the end of Gamescom comes, then I think we're going to have a clear view on the console's release dates, as well as the full list of launch games that we're getting. Because right now, the Xbox One, let's be honest here, has a better launch lineup when it comes to exclusives. With PlayStation 4, you have Drive Club, which you get for free on PlayStation Plus. Good thing, a version of it free. You have Knack, and you have Killzone Shadowfall. So, and I think for the hardcore gamer, coming from that perspective, Killzone Shadowfall really is the only interesting thing. If you like driving games, then obviously you're going to enjoy Drive Club. And then Knack, although looks interesting, doesn't really look like a game I'm going to spend $60 for. If it was $40, $30, I might say, yeah, what the hell, I'll pick it up. But it's a full $60 game, I know Mark Cerny's directing it, but I'll pick it up when it's cheap. With Xbox One, you have Rise Son of Rome, you have Forza Motorsport 5, and you have Dead Rising 3. All right, those are 3 hardcore games, and well-known series, with the exception of Rise. So a lot of people are anticipating those. So really, the Xbox One has a better launch lineup at the moment. But let's wait until Gamescom to come to a conclusion, and then we will have hopefully a release date of these consoles, as well as the final list of launch games. All right, I'm not talking about third party, by the way. Third party, it doesn't even matter because you can get them on either system. But just exclusive wise, you have a better choice there on the Xbox One. All right. Now, indie games is another thing. Sony seems to have the indie games thing, in the bag, but Xbox, again, just reversed its policy. It's funny because I think Don Matrick leaving the company is the best thing that ever happened, because I think the new girl that took over for his position is really working hard to fix things, because Microsoft, they really shot themselves in the foot, and the reputation really just went downhill from that conference. They had a good E3 conference, but those policies and them being confirmed, people just flipped out, all right? I was going to get an Xbox One anyway, but still, they reversed their policies. Don Matrick left, and now that new girl's taken over, and she's, again, it just seems that Microsoft is really making these moves in the right direction. They're really making moves in the right direction. They got indie games now. Now you can now self-publish on the Xbox One. Every single Xbox One is essentially going to be a dev kit now, meaning that another thing that indie developers are saying is now, okay, now I have to buy $500 I have to buy this $500 system and develop on it. Sony, on the other hand, is supposedly giving away free dev kits. They're loaning them, not giving, but they're loaning them free dev kits for the Xbox, I'm sorry, the PlayStation 4. But still, with the PlayStation 4, you have free indie games every single month. But if you're just talking about hardcore exclusives on Sony's platform, like the big retail AAA budget games, Xbox just has a better choice at the moment. All right, don't. I know some of you guys are Sony fanboys, but let's just be honest. All right, it's proof. It's right there. It's in. You can go type in Xbox One games on GameStop. There's a lot more games in there that look interesting that are coming out on launch. All right, so that's all I'm saying about it. But let's wait until Gamescom. This may reverse at Gamescom when Sony announces all these new exclusives as well as launch games and a release too. If the PlayStation 3 can launch 2 weeks to a month early, it can really be it might really hurt Microsoft because a lot of people just they just want to get their hands on the system as soon as possible, and they can get a next gen system a month early and play the third party games a month early, from their competitor. That's going to be really helpful. So let's see, but I just want to let you guys know $250 that's saved up for the Xbox One. The console is on its way to being acquired. But I will let you guys know the next gen update will be the last one. Where I'm going to let you guys know that I pre-ordered the console and that I have those launch games pre-ordered. So, like I said, August 16th seems like the final day. Excuse me. Seems like the final day that I'll be able to officially purchase the Xbox One and the launch games I'm getting with it. And this is going to be cool because it's kind of my duty to purchase games. I buy games often, but at the same time, it's kind of my duty to do so because I'm supposed to be telling you guys whether these games are good or not. All right. Yes, this channel is personal, and I do a lot of vlogs and updates like this and gameplay videos, but I also do written reviews. And if some of you guys are on the fence, PlayStation 4 or Xbox One, I really don't know which is better. One is $500, one is $400. Which one should I buy? Which one's going to give me the better experience? I'd like to bring you guys Xbox One content and be able to bring you guys PlayStation 4 content as well. So we're going to see. Quick, small little updates, and I'm going to close it. This video is almost 20 minutes. I'm sorry, guys. But small little updates. I will be making another vlog that's going to be similar to how to make digital distribution attractive. But this one is going to be talking about tablet integration because that's actually an exciting thing. Tablet integration. I'm going to talk about why it's exciting and why a lot of people should stop bitching about it. Of smart glass and being able to take your game on the go through second screen capabilities. It's going to be a really exciting thing, especially if certain games can implement it right. So I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll let you guys know when I have acquired enough money to go ahead and purchase the Xbox One. I'll see you guys later. Have a great day.